Hey everyone, today we're talking about the creation of humanity. Then God said, "Let us make humanity in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, and over all the wild animals over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So, God created humanity in his image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. There was evening, there was morning, the sixth day. So recap, God is powerful and orderly, but he doesn't create with violence. Creation, in a sense, is a temple in the ancient worldview. And temples always have an image of the god. So where's the image here? Well, it's us. Humanity is the image or the representation of God in creation. We see here in this account, male and female are created together. Right? This is how Hebrew poetry works. You just kind of say the same thing twice. But it's important for us to see in this account that it's both, right? It's male and female. God is not male. That doesn't mean that men are more in the image of God. In fact, God is best seen in community, in a relationship. Now, from a Christian perspective, we can read an allusion to the Trinity here, even though that's not what the original audience would have understood. But we know that God exists best when it's togetherness, when it's love. It also talks about humanity having the image and the likeness of God. Now, again, those are probably synonymous in Hebrew, but a lot of spiritual thinkers look at this as saying that the image of God is something inherent. Every human being has that no matter what. And likeness is something that we're working towards. We're trying to be more like God in the way we live and act. Now, in its context, being in God's image is really kind of a royal description. Normally, the king would be the image of God's. And so here, all of humanity represents God. That democratizes that status, makes us all equal. And the image of God here is not really some like inner quality, the way that some want to think about it as like our ability to reason, our morality, something like that. Here it's a calling. It's a job description. The job description for human beings is to have dominion over everything else. But dominion is not domination. Right? We are called to care for creation as the Creator does. When it talks about subduing, that's really about making the plants and animals and everything more fruitful, helping it to flourish in whatever way it needs. It doesn't mean everybody has to be a vegan, although if you read it, it does say that we're only supposed to eat green plants until after the flood. It's about how we interact with creation. Can we do that in sustainable ways, in ways that are life-giving, not just for humans or maybe just for some humans, but for everything? Maybe one of the best examples that, doesn't seem as environmentalist is, the way that hunters control the deer population, right? There's lots of ways that we have to think about this. How are we doing? We have to take responsibility for what we are doing to this planet as the bearers of God's image. The questions we ask today about climate change and all of these ways that we're affecting things, they're different than what they were asking back in the time of Genesis. But that calling still remains. That image still remains. So how are we going to represent God in the midst of God's creation?